Good morning, everybody. Thanks so much for the opportunity to share with you today. I've been at the Meeting House for over 20 years, and I even met my beautiful bride, Lisa, there. We and our boys, Keo and Park, have attended the Burlington site ever since it opened. I've always been very involved with the church and the community, and I love connecting with people and staying active. This has also helped me in my recent career as an independent travel agent, which I've been doing for the last 15 years. Many of you have supported me in this and allowed me to help plan your vacations, and I truly appreciate that. For now, though, and maybe for good, I have stepped back from work to focus on family and my health. Last January, during a wellness exam, I mentioned to my family doctor that food was sometimes getting stuck in my esophagus. So we scheduled an endoscopy for March. Basically, they put a tube down your throat with a camera, and so that they can examine the GI tract. After 3 or 4 postponements due to COVID, they finally squeezed me in for the procedure at Juravinski Hospital on June 19th of last year. The fact that it was the cancer hospital didn't really even cross my mind or concern me at that time, but immediately afterwards, the doctor came out and told me that I in fact had cancer. Visitors were not allowed, so I received this news alone while Lisa waited outside. I was shell-shocked, as you can imagine. A few days later, the biopsy results confirmed the visual diagnosis. Initially, we were introduced to a surgeon who would remove the tumor from the esophagus. The surgery would be pretty nasty, but we were optimistic that it would be successful. However, I had a CT scan, and days later, on June 29, 10 days after we first found out about the cancer, and while standing on the dock of a friend's cottage, we received the call that would completely rock our world. I had stage 4 cancer. Cancer had already spread to my lungs, liver, adrenal glands, lymph nodes, and even my brain. Lisa's dad passed away a few years ago from brain cancer, and that was a real trigger for my kids. I've never seen them so upset. Surgery was no longer an option, and I was to start chemo immediately to try to slow the spread. Summer was a flurry of appointments, chemo treatments, radiation sessions, and I was told that the average expected lifespan for someone in my position was 6 to 12 months. By the end of the summer, I was in pretty rough shape. The side effects from the chemo were adding up. My white blood cells were basically at 0, and I was severely dehydrated and put on IV for 2 weeks. We took a break, adjusted the dosage, and continued on. As we got into the fall and winter, results started to come in, and they were exceptionally good. As of this week, the primary tumor in the esophagus has shrunk from 6.5 centimeters to basically nothing. Most of the other spots are down to 1/3 or less of the original size. The brain tumor that was 3.4 centimeters is almost gone, as the radiation can take up to a year to do its magic. However, we recently discovered that some of the spots have stopped shrinking or have even started growing again, most significantly in the lungs. Although they're still smaller than they were last June, it does mean that the cancer cells are adapting, and so therefore the chemo is just not as effective as it was. For now, we're going to stick with the same chemo medications, but at a higher dose. Unfortunately, this will likely increase the side effects, and we'll keep a close eye on things, and at some point in the coming months, we will likely need to switch to a different formulation. There are a few options, so hopefully we can keep at this for quite a while. When I was diagnosed, at first I was very scared. I, over time, had many conversations with friends, read books, reflected, prayed, and I started to realize something that I should have known right from the start, that I really did not need to fear death, because I am going to the ultimate paradise, filled with unimaginable light and love. This doesn't mean I'm ready to die. I want to be here as long as I can for my family, my friends, myself. And I do think that a strong desire to live is one of the most important factors for living with and surviving cancer. But I also think that embracing the idea of death and our own mortality frees us to live and love more fully. Some things that I've been trying to focus on: gratitude. I recognize that things can always be worse, and that I have so much to be thankful for in my life. If I focus on the positive, the positive will multiply. I've also been trying to practice mindfulness, trying to focus on what I can control, avoiding a fragmented mind, being present, finding peace in my everyday. Also, I've just been trying to live well and not postpone life due to COVID or cancer or anything else. If there's something I want to do or share with my family, within current provincial guidelines, of course, don't wait. If there's somebody that wants to visit or connect, the sooner the better. And maybe most importantly, I've been reading Corinthians 13, verse 13, which says, "And now these three remain, faith, hope, and love. But the greatest of these is love." In terms of my faith, I've been praying a lot more. I've been reading and reflecting a lot more. Facing your own mortality can make you feel closer to God. And I do feel infinitely more spiritual than I ever have before in my life. And when people say they're praying for me, it does mean a lot. Hope for the future, for full and complete healing. We decided early on not to buy into impossible. Read and listen to inspiring stories. And yes, I'm pragmatic. I prepare for everything, and I prepare my affairs and my family for a time when I may not be here, but I also make plans for my future here on earth, and I share them. Hope can never die. Finally, love, community, relationship. I have received more love in the past few months than I would have expected to experience in my lifetime. The constant, overwhelming support, encouragement, and love has really lifted me and my family up and given us strength. But the greatest of these is love. The Meeting House community has been incredible. A small community of Moon families formed almost immediately and started planning for and taking care of needs before we had even thought of them. A major project is one that I'm sitting in right now, which is turning our garage into a lounge area where I could host people more safely and more often. And the way people came together with donations of time and expertise and money to make this happen still blows us away. I have to mention Greg Saunders in particular, who pretty much spent 2 weeks solid in my garage, but many others made major contributions as well. This space has been a huge blessing for us, much more than I could have imagined at the time. Thank you to all of you who were a part of it in person or behind the scenes. Our home church has shown love and support through soup, through smoothies, even painting. They're a constant presence and a true blessing to us. John has always been here to listen, to comfort, to advise, and his wife Christy, his gift of prayer and her willingness to share her story and her battle with cancer has been a huge comfort for us. The 2 prayer Zoom calls that were hosted were humbling and moving and gave me the strength I needed. So thank you to everyone who participated in those. But the greatest of these is love. Our neighborhood friends, the Burlington Dads Facebook group, many others, too many to count and too many to name, have stepped up. Lisa actually started a Facebook group right away called We Love Kevin as a way to efficiently provide updates to everyone that wanted to follow along. But it became so much more than that. Hundreds of people have posted memories, encouragement, prayers, and continue to do so. I read and reread them all, and they move me to tears every single time. Many people continue to reach out. I appreciate every single text, message, email, phone call. They energize me, they strengthen me. So thank you. I'd also not be able to face this without the incredible and unwavering support of Lisa and our sons and our families. The greatest of these is love. Right now I feel well. This can change at any time. I don't feel as well right after chemo, and the chemo will probably be getting a little more intense, so the side effects will likely be getting a little more intense. Sometimes I don't feel well physically, sometimes emotionally, sometimes both. But I know that I have an army of people that are alongside me and my family. And I also know that God walks with me always, and I trust in Him. I look forward to the future, a future filled with life and love. And I know that I have hope through our faith in Jesus and what He did for us today on Good Friday. For all of us who believe in him, our kingdom awaits. We do not need to fear death, because we will spend eternity in the presence of the one true light and experience more love than we could ever imagine. The greatest of these is love. Thank you all, and God bless you.